You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to The Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, May 18th show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
It is a great day to talk about money, and that's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to chat with you or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Mike Pattison of Master Builders Association, new laws that help housing. Mike, thank you so much for coming back.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And really excited about the topic today. So a little bit about Mike. Mike is the Government Affairs Manager with Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish counties. He previously has served as a lobbyist for the Realtors Association and worked at the State House Representatives. Mike is a Seattle native and graduated from Seattle University.
So, Mike, is super excited to get your perspective with the Master Builders Association. We have a lot of agents here that come in with their perspective, but it's great to get your insight. State legislature just wrapped up its work for the year. Was it a good year for housing?
It was a great year for housing, and really I think it's going to go far beyond this year. We passed bills that we've been trying to pass for several years, but because of the intensity of our housing crisis, there is a real urgency to act this year. So it was a good year, and I think it's going to lead to even better years to come.
Yeah, so exciting, Mike. So let's talk about the bills the legislation passed that will help our supply and shortage and inventory, because it's just been really, really challenging. And I know that we've seen more inventory, but we're still by no means where the market should be as far as the housing. So what happened? What passed?
Yeah, I see all those MLS numbers, and the number of the amount of inventory is historically low. So
yes.
what passed this year is very much going to help. And the most important bill that passed was, at long last, condo liability reform. We have been trying to move this for several years, and finally everybody came together and actually unanimously passed condo liability reform. And what that means, the bottom line is, insurers are going to come back to the market and insure condo projects. That's why they weren't being built under the $1 million or $1.5 million price point. That critical missing middle was unable to get a condo or affordable housing. And so we think this is the best step forward in several years to produce that kind of housing. It's much needed.
Yes.
The inventory is low, and there's need. Our population continues to grow, and so we're very excited about this bill passing.
Great.
That is awesome, because that's going to address some of the affordability issues as prices have gone nuts. Obviously, we have a pretty good gap, and condos can fill a huge gap of that pretty quick. Mm-hmm. What can we expect going forward on this condo liability bill that passed, and what does that look like for our near future here?
Yeah, it's going to be a process. Builders haven't been building them, so they're going to have to ramp up. But there is pent-up demand. So we know my members are excited to jump into action and build this product. What it's going to take is insurers coming back to the market and having the confidence that this legislation is going to protect us all, and that we can get this going and keep it going.
Yeah, because the challenge is if anybody was suing, the HOA sued the builders, it was so expensive, and for that insurance to make sure that they were protected. And so if builders were building condos, they were building really, really, really expensive ones and nothing in the affordable arena, correct?
That's right. When you're building at $1 million or $2 million, you can afford a certain higher level of risk. But when you're dealing with small margins and the more affordable product, you cannot tolerate that risk.
Yeah.
You can't get a bank loan if you can't show you're going to make at least a little bit of profit.
Exactly.
And so this is, it's a technical issue, but it was resolved very well this year. And so we're very excited. And there's a big social component too. People that couldn't get housing can get housing.
Yeah.
And it's also going to be an investment opportunity for people as well. They can build wealth and hopefully retirement
Yes, yeah, great news. So let's talk about the Urban Destiny and bill and how that is going to help.
Yeah, so there was a large omnibus bill that we put together with the help of Representative Fitzgibbon from West Seattle, Senator Palumbo, and Senator Cooterer from here on the east side that is going to help form partnerships with the building community and cities. It's going to incentivize them to build denser, more affordable housing. And it does that by providing grants to city for planning efforts. Sometimes we think, oh, it's just pass a law so you can do this. Well, there's more to than that. There's a long process and code writing and public outreach. And some cities just don't have those resources to do all that work.
Yeah.
So this bill is going to be a great catalyst for builders, realtors, cities working together, plan for affordable housing. So there's an entire menu of options that cities can pick from and get these grants and employ them. So we're very excited about that. We think you're going to see really good quality, affordable development eventually come online because of this.
Yeah, and isn't it true? I mean, there's other cities that are doing this at such a successful and high level, and it was just crazy to see what was happening and how we were not taking the lead of these other cities to really be able to help with this issue that we're having. And so is that where some of this came from, that they're finally
Exactly. Some cities have long focused on the housing crisis, and others are late to the game, to be perfectly blunt. So we want to bring everybody along, and there's no excuses to not do good planning now. The resources are there. So it's not just Seattle and Bellevue doing it. Hopefully we can get all of our cities going the same direction and providing opportunities.
Yes.
So this is all great news, Mike. Were there, on the flip side of that coin, were there any legislation that was passed that could be a concern for us?
Yeah, so people that are investing, buying and selling property should pay attention. The real estate excise tax is changing, and that's real dollars and cents. And so it actually provided relief for lower levels of housing. Things under 100,000, they're going to get a break on the real estate excise tax. That's good. But to pay for that, things at the higher end shifted higher.
Yes.
So if you're doing a real estate transaction this year, you should pay attention because your rates may well change. So be sure and be in touch with your agent and your escrow company about that. See if acting before or after January 1st is going to affect you. It probably will.
Yeah. And so it's the no more easy excise tax, just estimate, because it's a different scenario. But if you're listening, just know on the high end, if you're selling a property, in the process that it's only the amount that's over and above, it's taxed at that higher amount. So it's really not as bad as it may seem when you see those numbers, right?
Right, exactly. But, someone watching every dollar should pay attention.
Of course.
Yeah.
The man's always got to get us, doesn't he, Tina?
Well, that
Always
tax
got-
guy. Oh, it
always
was
gotta
too
get us
funny because
somewhere.
we were off subject, but totally on subject. I was at the Women's Council of Realtors. Shout out for the organization because they are amazing. And shout out to Michelle is the president at the Metro chapter, and she brings in some really, really great speakers. And they were talking about all this conversation that's going on behind the scenes, but not really behind the scenes with the IRS. And so I want to give a little shout out to anybody that works for the IRS because they really work really hard, and they're trying to keep up with all of this stuff and change with all of the new things that are happening with the tax law. So normally we don't have great things to say about the IRS, but the people that work for the IRS and are going through all of this change, a lot going on. So, Mike, how do the laws passed in Olympia translate to action at a local level?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What we do in Olympia really is the framework for what happens at the local level, because homes, condos, everything else is permitted by cities and counties. So this is all about leading to action at the local level. So you're going to see cities start analyzing what works best for them. Do they want to allow more zoning for condos? Do they want to increase density in single-family neighborhoods? So you're going to start seeing a lot of planning activities at cities fairly quickly, I would think, on how to implement and what's best for each community. And it's going to be different in every community. So, if you care about your neighborhood or if you want to see more housing, all of these issues, they will affect you. So pay attention to what's going on at City Hall because something's coming. And everyone can have a voice in what their neighborhood's going to look like.
Yes.
That's really cool. The ground rules are set. Now we just got to watch it play out in all these different neighborhoods and see how it's going to work, right?
Yeah, right. And we spend 3 or 4 months a year in Olympia as advocates, but the rest of the year we're at the local level making sure that this transition is a smooth one and what's right for the community. So,
and doing the education as you're doing now. And thank you so much, Mike, for everything that do behind the scenes and then coming in front of the scenes to really be able to share what's happening.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Another thing that I never lose sight of is we can go into Olympia and pass bills, but it's also incumbent on us to remind cities you have these tools. Make sure and use them. Don't let them gather dust.
Yeah, good advice.
That's really exciting. So it sounds like we've had a fantastic year this year. What are we looking forward to next? What's next year's agenda at this point?
We're already planning for next year.
I'm sure you are.
As soon as the gavel came down, we started planning for next year. We want to further address our workforce issues. We don't have enough skilled workers, and we have a lot of building going on, and we don't have enough skilled workers to build it. So that's a concern. We want to beef up technical and trade skills out there. Yeah, and those are great jobs. And college and PhDs aren't for everybody, but there are jobs that pay just as much in the trades. So we want to expand those opportunities.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that there's always a challenge with something. There's always opportunities with those challenges, but software engineering is just, everybody is going into that, and so we're going to see some of these trades, just like you said, that we're going to have a shortage, and so we may have the ability, but not the other part of the ability to make it all come together.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then just quickly, 2 other things that we're looking at next year. We got a little bit of momentum for them this year, but accessory dwelling units or mother-in-law units.
Yes. I just marked that down. What about those ADUs?
Yeah. So there was a bill this year, and it was heard, and it made a little progress, but sometimes it takes a couple of sessions and some education to get that passed. We've done focus groups, and people love them when they see pictures of them.
Yeah.
So we think as we bring more awareness and education to the public and our state legislature that it's going to be embraced and we can get this across the finish line, it can be a real big help in our supply crisis.
Yes.
So much of our land is built on, but if you think about it, maybe not so much because there's a lot of big yards and big lots that can certainly accommodate mother-in-law units, which provides rental income for the owner of the home and great investment opportunities, as well as the social benefit of housing people.
Yeah, well, and it's personally for myself, I have a really beautiful big house, but not a big lot, so we couldn't do that, and I would never consider selling my house unless if I could really find something with an ADU, because my husband's mom is getting at that stage. At some point in time, my mom will follow behind, and they're not going to be going upstairs and all of that. So I'm really excited to see what happens in that arena. So Mike, as we wrap up our time here with you, what's the outlook for continued work on the affordable crisis?
Yeah, despite all the good things that happened in Olympia this year and will happen at the local level, we know that there's no silver bullet. Homes are too expensive. Incomes aren't keeping pace. So we're going to be at it full time every day, working at it. Prices aren't coming down, but we hope that we can afford or generate more units so the supply and demand balance is more in line. And that's the real focus is getting that into balance where people at least have a chance at affordability.
Yes, so true. Well, Mike, thank you again so much for all of the hard work that you're doing over at Master Builders Association and for coming here on the show. Look forward to having you back soon.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up next in The Money Hour, business, bullies, and boundaries. We have Laura Curry of Difficult Happens right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.